got right now don't take pride in nothing but collecting money. And I've got a picture on here. Every one of their little poster boards that they got in all these areas, it's got a poster up there that says 90% of all money collected at this campsite is put back into this campsite. Well, if it is, we've got somebody that don't know how to count money. But I asked them up there at the ranger station, I said, who weed eats around these camping areas? I said, who's collecting the money or collecting the trash? They can take a weed eater or a lawnmower and highlight it up every time they go and keep them nice and neat. They won't do that, but they'll sure make the effort to go open up that little canister to get their money. Where's our money going? It's sure not going back into that campsite. I've got pictures of Holly Flats campground over here. It's shameful. The roads around it's washed plumb out. The picnic table right behind their little money collection station, the concrete table is leaned plumb over. If somebody sits down on it, it'll fall on them and break their legs. And I know they've seen it because they've sure been there to collect their money. Go ahead and finish up this slideshow right here. This right here is going over to Green Cove Pond. It was shut off. Green Cove Pond is owned by the state. They was looking at dredging it out, cleaning it out, and redoing it. For whatever reason, that project's been put on hold. I talked to one of the TWRA guys yesterday, and he explained to me a little more in depth about that. When they drain that, redo it, when cattails comes up in something, it's considered a wetland. When something's considered a wetland, it's a whole different ball game to get permits and stuff to dredge back out to this pond. Hopefully they can get it fixed, put it back in place. But when, like I said, when it becomes a wetland, it's a very different ball game. That's two more pictures of the pond. What this is showing is some of after they graded the road and redone the roads last year on Lloyl River. They went up there a couple weeks ago with a grader and graded all the dirt out of the ditches and everything and brought it right up in the middle of the road and then just took it over and leveled it up. Didn't come back and gravel it. And this is supposed to be another road like North River Road. It's going to be an access road when the Lloyl River Bridge is closed down. But when they didn't come back and gravel it, right after it rained, the first vehicle went up through there, rutted it out. When it rutted out, the water runs right down the ruts. Here goes the road, it's gone again. So, just some of the things like that the Forest Service does, they say they're educated. Well, I tell you right now, there's some little boys up here on Rafter and Coke Creek, I'd put up against their daggone education any day. Because they don't know how to build a road. They don't know how to pretty much do anything, in my opinion. But they're not on my high list anyway. But on to the next one. This here's Camp 11 on Lloyl River. You've got Camp 11 on one side of the road. You've got the horse camp on the other side where they tie up the horses. It's that high. You can't even see the place where you tie up the horses. They ain't mowed it, bush hogged, weeded it, or nothing. Disgrace. That's another picture of Camp 11. This right here is where the Forest Service had a brain idea. They went up through there and they cut all the trees off above and below the road going up Lloyl River. They cut a bunch of the trees out there to head a finger branch. You can't even tell where the trail's even at. I asked the guy up here at the Forest Service this week, I said, who trims the trail? He said, we trim the trail. I said, well, tell me which trails you trim. He said, well, we've got a crew working over on Stephanie right now. I said, that ain't Forest Service, that's volunteers. I said, how many trails have y'all worked on up here this year? He said, well, we worked on several. I said, no, our club has worked on a few of them. I said, the trail trimming club out of Chattanooga has worked on the rest of them, and the rest of them ain't touched. The trails, we had 2 guys get lost up here, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Grassy Gap. You know why they got lost? Because they couldn't find the trail. Ain't no trail there no more. The trails has grown up so bad that you can't even tell there's a trail even there anymore. I was also informed yesterday afternoon that they've got prescribed burns scheduled for October through December. Just what time of season that is. Right in the middle of hunting season, right in the middle of tourism season, everything. They done their control burns. You boys can remember back in the spring, they waited till the end of March, into April, when all your turkeys, your grouse, everything's laying eggs, hatching their livings. When they do these control burns in the spring, when everything's got its livings, I'm talking about from the little deer, the bear, the turkeys, coons, squirrels. If the heat don't kill them, the smoke will. Now that's how smart our Forest Service is. And that's how they manage our forest. They don't care a bit more about the sportsmen. They don't care about the fishers. Because the ranger plainly and blatantly told me she didn't care. But the people and the runs of businesses here in Tellico, this is their prime season for revenue for their business. And you don't think a hunter, everybody downs the hunters all the time? Let me tell you what a hunter does. A hunter buys gas, a hunter buys groceries, a hunter buys camping supplies, he buys dog feed, he buys all kinds of stuff that relates to every business about it around here, one way or another. And they fight the hunters tooth and nail. But they don't realize how much money the hunters spend in every one of these little towns that keeps them afloat. Does the hikers buy permits like we buy hunting license? Absolutely not. Does the kayakers buy permits? Absolutely not. So who's funding all of this? The hunters and the fishers. We fund it all. And we catch more heat, more slack than any of them.
Yep.
Go ahead, Dennis. Which one's that? This is the little Citico bridge. The culvert was washed out back a couple years ago. They asked the Forest Service about fixing it. They'd even had volunteers and donate the stuff to fix it with. Forest Service said no. They don't want it. They don't want it fixed. They don't want nothing fixed. They don't want nothing looking nice. All they want is to buy a brand new vehicle for them to drive up and down the road, collect their money at these little slots, and pick up a little bit of trash. And speaking of picking up trash, they just bought a bunch of dumpsters to go into Indian Boundary Lake because it's bigger, so they can leave them there longer and hold more trash. The elderly people or women can't even raise the lid to put the trash in. But they done it to accommodate them, not the people. So you take, say, some old retired person, which I'm about there now, wants to go up there and camp, they can't even raise the lid up to put their garbage in because they wanted it to last longer so they wouldn't have to empty the garbage more often. And that's where thousands of dollars of our money went to that project right there, believe it or not.
Hey, Bert.
Yes.
That little Citico bridge up there, they don't what caused it to wash out. To keep the horseback riders out of there, they went up through there with a piece of equipment, dug trees and stuff out of the banks and everywhere else where they didn't want to seal up the streams, and piled that road bed up through there where that trail was at, full of trees and everything else, so nobody get up through there. Here come a little rain, and it washed all that stuff off the banks, and it washed down there against the bridge, and that's what washed the bridge out. I seen it.
you go. Anybody else got anything that they wanna add to the Forest Service? Come on, Joe.
Whenever you get a chance. Thank you so much. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much. I'm Congressman Fleishmann. I flew in from Washington last night, flying back tomorrow after church in Chattanooga. This fine gentleman called me this week. After my good friend Roger Thomas, I don't know if Roger's here today, called me. Hey, there he is. Good to see you. Still have to take me trout fishing, that's more on you. But I want to talk about some serious things right now. I know our great county mayor is here. Mitch, where are you? There you are. Thank you, Mitch. And I know our sheriff's here. Thank you. And our two great state reps, Mark and Lloyl, thank you so much. I'm not one to shy away from problems, and I'll never shy away from the truth. This is a federal problem. These gentlemen have done nothing but support you all, but you've heard what this fine gentleman has said. If you bear with me, I've got an important update as much as last night. But I want to give you all a little bit of a history so that you know what's going on. Now, I will tell you this. I am privileged to be your congressman. I really believe, thank you, sir. I really believe, most importantly, number one, in God. That's the most important thing for all of us. That's just my view. I hope I haven't offended anybody. But in our great republic, I'm your voice in Washington, D.C. Okay? Plain and simple. And you don't have to convince me, sir. You did a great job. You're right. You all are right. And I share your anger. I share your frustration. And whether it was President Obama, President Trump, or President Biden, if they're talking to me, they ask me a question, I'm going to give them a straight up honest answer, just like I am in this room. I owe each and every one of you all that same courtesy. I'm going to give it to you today. This gentleman called me this week after Roger called me and laid out for me what was going on. I'm very concerned. So I've sprung into action, and I want to let you all know exactly what I am doing, not only in Washington, D.C., but my district staff is all working on this. We've been real busy in D.C. We're in budget season and all that, but this is my priority, sir. And you live here. You all have managed this land and have lived here for decades and done it right. And I trust you all over the federal government any day of the week, okay? What concerns me? First of all, their attitude. I'm going to tell you all, this gentleman told me, and I know he's telling the truth, that for the past couple of years, you've tried to work with the Forest Service. You all have planted trees. You've worked side by side. You've tried to work with these people, and now they're coming in and they're trying to dictate. And it can't be one way. That's not the way our founding fathers wanted it. That's just plain and simple wrong. So I've got my notes here. We figured out, or we tried to figure out, what was the fastest way to get something done. Because I didn't want to go through the federal bureaucracy. Heck, it'd be over before we got a response from it. That's what happens an awful lot. That's not fair to you all. So we thought we were going to send a letter and to the head of the Forest Service. But we realized that would take too long. So I said I wanted an immediate response. Went around this here. There we go. Thank you. I wanted an immediate response from the Forest Service. So we contacted them yesterday, and they contacted us last night. Let me tell you, put my glasses on here so I can see a little bit what I've demanded, not what I've asked for, what I've demanded, and what we're going to get. By the way, I go back tomorrow, so I'll be there Monday. If I don't get it, I'll be going and visiting them this week to get a response. We asked them point blank, when does the Forest Service plan to begin maintenance on the North River Road? Does the Forest Service have a projected timeline for the completion of the North River Road maintenance? Has the Forest Service considered, this is very important, alternate timelines for maintenance? We're not saying no to them, we're saying, you fools, bear season's coming. Don't screw up bear season. And I understand boar season's all the time. And the gentleman's already showed us some of the other problems that they've had. all right? And then here's the thing, is it possible to defer this to January 2023 to accommodate the TWRA's hunting calendar? As the gentleman alluded to, hunting is important. People buy licenses, people come in here, and they spend money. And hunters also vote too. That's why I'm such a good record with it.
Oh, well,
Bottom line, I'm gonna stay on some years. You all are right. I don't know, this gentleman, one of these gentlemen told this gentleman, and I believe you, that he'd called me. Nobody called me, okay, except you and Roger. Now, I will be honest, the Forest Service did contact my office and spoke with my staff, but no one's talked with me direct. And I'm willing to sit down with them, okay, and talk this out. But as to what you said about the national park or them trying to come in, they'll have to roll over me, and they're not gonna roll over me because we fund them, okay? And we'll
fund
do,
them.
yeah, well, that's right, but I wish, the way things are going with deficits, your grandchildren and great-grandchildren sadly are funding, who aren't born yet. But be that as it may, you got my word. And I've been in this building a number of times at Lincoln Day dinners with Lloyl and Mark and our great mayor and our really great sheriff over there. And I've said, well, look, when it comes up, I'm gonna fight for you all. Well, I'm gonna fight for you all. Not to lie to you, I don't know how this is gonna end, okay? But I'm gonna be with you. And I'm here to answer any questions that you all have, but we are on this immediately. We did get a response immediately back from the Forest Service. They're not gonna tell me, wait a month. They got back last night and they said, we're gonna get right back to you all. So keep in constant communication with me. I'm sorry they did this to you. This is not the first time. Down in Polk County a couple of years ago, I got a call that they tore up all the campgrounds, they turned them over. And then afterwards they said, well, they're sorry they did it. No, I said, no, you're not sorry you did it, you're sorry. Plain and simple. So I don't want the apologies, I want answers, and I want it done right. So, but I'm here, I come in from DC to make sure I can stand before you. That's your right, as I represent you up there, I should be able to stand and look at every one of y'all in the eye, and always will, and tell you I'm gonna fight for you. Does anybody have any questions of me? And gentlemen can speak again, but if y'all have any questions, please ask me.
who is the Forest Service up there? Who are they accountable to?
Excellent question. The Forest Service, like most things, is an agency of the federal government. Ultimately, I'm gonna answer that question two ways. Ultimately, I think every federal bureaucrat, every federal agency ought to be accountable to the American people, wherever they are. The United States Supreme Court recently, sir, in this last session, they had a lot of very famous cases. One thing they did, they basically said the EPA is gonna be curtailed, they're gonna give that control back to Congress. Now, I'm gonna say this as a member of Congress. Congress should have never given away their authority to these federal agencies. Why? Because they're unaccountable. I'm accountable. If I don't do my job, I'm not gonna get your vote, I'm gonna get my butt kicked out of office. These federal bureaucrats are not accountable. So the other answer I'm gonna give you, which is also a true answer, they're responsible, they answer to their federal department, and it goes right up the chain to ultimately to the executive branch. But, having said that, I'm gonna hold them accountable. And when this gentleman told me that, one of the two of them said to him that they were in control and you all were not, that doesn't fly with me. That's not the way it is in the United States of America. I know many of y'all are veterans. I know Roger's brother fought in Vietnam proudly and served our country. We didn't fight for the Constitution to come back and the federal bureaucrats run over you. Thank you. Other questions,
What
please?
gives, I want to ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
What gives the government, the Forest Service, the right for them to come in and everybody that hunts knows where this county is on Wildcat? They come in, they dam the creeks up, they make them a big lake out of it, and build a little cabin and make a safe area, but yet we're not allowed to travel on the road we traveled on for, ever since before I was born.
It's
They go in and
outrageous.
they close these roads down, but yet they can come in and take a piece of property they want to build their little retreat on, and they can do that, but we can't use the forest that we help take care of.
And have for centuries. Yes, sir. Let me give you two honest answers. First of all, over time, and you all remember this fight, who stood and fought with you all when they tried to get more acreage into the national forest? I fought that fight some fierce. Now, one of our previous senators stuck it into not the two current ones. The two current ones are great. We'll fight for you every day of the week. They're two friends of mine, and I've told them about this. So you don't ever have to worry about Marshall Bill. They'll be with you all. But one of them stuck that in a farm bill because I was fighting them and said they wouldn't do it. They got more land in the federal system. Anytime you take power away from local people and give it to the federal government, the people of this country are gonna lose. So the honest answer is, we let this happen in this country. The federal government's gotten too strong, the bureaucracies have gotten too strong, and that's why the Supreme Court of the United States basically said, we're gonna give Congress more power. Now, Congress needs to get off its sorry butt and take that power back and start doing a better job for you all. Thank you. Yes, sir.
In your notes, most of it was pointed toward North River Road. What about all the things that they're doing to Citico Road and shutting down the campgrounds like Barry was talking about, making it where we're not able to hunt the gates that we've hunted our entire lives because they wanna come in and shut down a new road that we went in and seeded?
Yes, sir. Honest answer is, we were in a rush to get something done. I did not want to sit back and let something happen. We'd be glad to include that. As a matter of fact, if you will get me your other list of concerns, we've asked this gentleman to give us all your all's concerns, okay? But I was faced with a situation where I had to do something right away. I didn't want to come into this room and say, oh, by the way, I'll get to it in a couple of weeks. So I had to basically fire with the ammunition I had at that point in time. That's all we had. We can add that to it. We've asked for some more information from you all so we can go back and get answers from the Forest Service. But I want that done right away. I just didn't want to delay. I told my staff in both offices, we're getting something out yesterday. We did. So honest answer is, I just had to hustle and get something done, had to work with the best cards I was holding.
I have a question about.
How are you, Miss Summey? How are
Yes.
you? Good to see you.
Chuck, 10 years ago, I worked in the county courthouse, and I knew Catherine Foster, who was the park ranger director up here. And she told me that the long-term plan was to make Citico wilderness and to only have tour buses go up there. No one could drive, no one could hunt. They don't want horses in the creek or anything else. So Catherine was moved out and these new people are here. But she said then, which was 10 years ago, that was the long-range plan, to make Citico wilderness and not to allow people up there. And that's where my husband grew up, was Citico.
Tell your husband I said, hey, I know him very well. Yes. Well, it hadn't happened yet, and maybe there's nothing good that's come out of this so far. We're gonna have to fight them. But I tell you what, maybe this is something good. We're gonna say, hey, whatever your long-term plans are, as long as I got a voice and a vote, if that's where you're going, we're gonna fight it. Now, Congress has something called power of the purse. Now, I don't wanna put the big hat on, okay, but I'm the dean, I'm the old man of the delegation in Tennessee, okay, on the Republican side. But I am on the Appropriations Committee. I'm gonna be in the next Congress, what we call a cardinal, okay? They'll put a cardinal stack. That means you're a subcommittee chairman. What does that mean? That means you control the funding, okay? So I will have the ability to go all the way up to change to the Forest Committee, Forest Service, like the gentleman in the blue was saying, and I'll be able to ask him these questions. But I've not heard that. I remember when you told me that, but we will have to basically take that control back and block it every which way. That's why I fought against all those thousands of acres that they were trying to get back under federal control, and they beat us. They stuck it in a farm bill and crammed it down my throat. Okay? I fought them for years. But no more games. As I've gotten more powerful, I'll fight them on that.
That's a good question.
Yes, sir.
Forest Service is fixing to put together, it's time for them to put together their 20-year plan.
Okay.
The people needs to be part of that 20-year plan.
Amen.
And what they propose, the people can say, no, we don't want that. I mean, that's totally absurd, that's a waste of money. But they're fixing to put together, I mean, it's coming up here right now shortly, but they'll be putting together their next 20-year plan. And we would like to have it to where, when the Forest Service is going to do something up here, a major project, they need to schedule a meeting here in Tellico, and say, we want to meet with the people to discuss what you want.
Public comment here in a public meeting, that's only fair. That goes to what this gentleman said, you've got a host of asks, I need to get them so that we can get them. And I'll get that directly to them, okay? I promise you that. I don't know what their response is gonna be, but I'm gonna stay on it. And so if you will kindly get me that list, I think Steve is gonna get that from you real soon. Get that right to us. I'll be up there next week and up there the week after. We'll get it right to them. But since this 20-year plan, we'll inquire about that as well and say we demand local input. It's only fair. Gentlemen in the front, yes, sir.
Sorry, I appreciate you coming down today.
Yes, sir.
But you realize that October 1st and 2nd is when maintenance starts.
Yes, sir, I do. And that's why we've asked that in that plan. We had to slap this together. I guess you got with me, what, on Wednesday or so? Okay? By Friday, we had something out. I wasn't gonna sit on this because I was afraid that was gonna happen. And again, this is part of the tradition here. I've been on a bear hunt. I didn't get to see one. And I'm not a pretty good shot. I went and got my hunt license. They put me out there. All I know is they put me out there the day before we went out shooting. They put these slugs in there, and I'm not a very good shot, so I decided to spectate. But these beautiful dogs, it's called flocks, and running all over. But I didn't see a boar or bear. But I'll come back. But it was beautiful up there in the woods.
That's not a big one, called
Okay. How about that nice lady? I don't want to put it up, ma'am.
You said that you got a response from the Forest Service. What was the response that you got?
So we're going to get back to you Monday morning, sir.
So that's the only response you have gotten is that they're gonna get back to you on Monday morning.
Well, yes, ma'am. Now, let me be fair to everybody. Let me be fair to them, because what I don't ever want to do is, if somebody's trying to do the right thing, I don't want to call them out. We got this to them last night, okay? Because we
Right,
put
I
this
was just
together.
clear, I
Yes,
got
ma'am.
involved with the, you did an email and made the response.
Yes.
So
And they didn't respond.
basically, they're putting something together, gathering information, and they'll get back to you.
Yes, ma'am, and I'm gonna have to come back to them with more information, like this gentleman said, to say, well, they're gonna have some questions for us, for me,
Well,
okay?
I'm a native in Tellico Plains. We had sheep rides the first Sunday of every month, first Sunday of every month, sheep rides. I've been on every trail there is in those mountains. I've done ramps. I didn't go hunting, but I did take supplies into hunting. They've closed so much. They've already taken and taken and taken. I mean, we used to be able to ride all the way through Weeks Meadows, you know. We understand some, but we're constantly losing and losing and losing, and I understand tourists like it, but we wanna be able to keep our word. And very, and, you know, I mean, we wanna be able to show our kids and our grandkids, not just the skyway, but the back trail. You know, we like our backwoods, we wanna keep our backwoods.
Agreed. Well, let me tell you this, we had a problem with the Forest Service on Lookout Mountain. Now, Lookout Mountain is the wealthy mountain in Hampton County. It is big, it is beautiful, it's nice, has a battle above the clouds up there, but a bunch of wealthy people, okay? I like all my constituents. I got about 710,000, fixing to get about 780,000 after the redistricting, right? So I like them all. But I said whether the Forest Service was doing wrong on Lookout Mountain, or in Tellico, I was gonna stand up for my constituents. So, I hear you, I heard what Ms. Sunny said, we've been fighting this fight against them and the control for years. We lost the fight against them taking over more federal land. I was sick about that. I had a meet and it got slipped in to a farm bill, to the last farm bill. And, that was one fight, but I tell you what, I'll come back and I'll fight the next fight, and fight the next fight, and fight the next fight until we win. So, thank you for your question. One quick question for you. You said you dug ramps, did you eat any of them?
Every year.
Okay, you're a better
I
person
know
than
you're
mine.
right, so.
Okay, you're a better person than mine. By the way, I'm working with the Cherokee to get a bill. I got one senator that's blocking my, tenacity bill for the people of this county, in Monroe County. He's retiring, okay? We're gonna get that passed in the next thing, so I know that's something that the mayor and everybody else cares about. That's that, to return that back to the Cherokee, so we're gonna win that fight. Yes, sir, in the back.
As I look around the room, I see firefighters, I see rescue squad members, I see sheriff's department members. We all know that we have had to go in and find hikers for years. There was a couple that were lost just a couple weeks ago. We got access to these roads to be able to get closer to these people because these rocks are stopping vehicles. These trees and gates are stopping vehicles. They're not stopping hikers from walking in. We've got people that are older hunters that are gonna go in and hunt. God forbid they have a heart attack or have a health problem and get injured while they're up there. As a preservation of life, every minute counts. As we need to get in there with vehicles to get to the people faster. Now, we have a problem, the sheriff's office has a problem, the rescue squad has a problem. They've got ATVs, UTVs, we walk in on foot. The faster we can get to them, the faster we can give them help. The faster we can get them to medical attention. Is there a short-term solution for the roads being blocked off? Because we know this time of year, people are gonna walk in. People are gonna get lost. How can we provide the right to life for these people to get help by the sheriff's office, rescue squad, volunteers, fire department?
Sir, you raise a valid concern. You're absolutely right. And that's why I'm glad our great sheriff is here. I know he has dealt with these issues and he's with us all the way. It's always good to see you, sir. Thank you. As are your state elected officials. But to answer your question, I'm gonna put them for alternatives in that I already have, but we'll try to be a little bit more specific in our ask. Because the ingress and egress, the in and out, is very important for Sylvia Travis. And I'll be honest with you, that day I was up there hunting and stuff, I kind of walked away from our group, and these are boys that knew that area inside and out, hunted it for years and the like, and I'm out not lost. So I understand exactly what you're talking about.
Does the sheriff's office, rescue squad, fire department, and volunteers have the right to move those rocks in the need that we need to get help to someone that's lost or injured on that property?
I don't know the answer to that, so I don't want to say that. If the sheriff knows, that's great. If not, I'll find out an answer for y'all, but I do not know the answer to that question. So, Sheriff, do you?
Here's what I was told about the road blocking. From the main guy. We're not in the business to open roads, we're in the business to close roads to keep you out.
Yeah.
That's what I was told.
Yes, sir. Sheriff?
So to answer your question, I found out last week, we had two missing hikers. Like Barry said earlier, they went missing because we couldn't find the trail. Walk in and it was fairly nice, but further you went back, it just kind of disappeared. Well, so did the hikers for days. That cost a lot of county tax dollars and resources to locate these guys. Not complaining about that, because the life was everything to us. Found out during that time through FEMA that the sheriff carries the jurisdiction on federal property when it comes to someone missing or lost. The conflict we run into is we do have the resources to find these people, but forestry then tells us we cannot move anything to access these roads to get to the person. So my office has the jurisdiction on federal property to retrieve the people, to search and locate them, but we don't have the authority to move a rock out of the way. So,
Thank you. So he had the answer to your question. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I did not know. Thank you. I don't wanna dominate this, but on the other hand, I wanna make sure I answer all of your all's questions, because remember, I'm going back into that fight for you all, well, Sunday, but really, in all events, Monday, to follow up. And I wanna get as tight a list as possible of your requests, of your demands, so that we can do that and see them. But sir, this is your meeting, you want me to take a couple more questions, gentlemen, what you want me to do?
I want you to take the questions to the people, because this is the people's land.
Yes, sir.
You need to hear their concern.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, now, there was a gentleman here who didn't get Dan's question. Okay, I'll go with you, sir, but I didn't want anybody to get cut off.
I was just curious, even if we get these little issues that we're fighting right now taken care of, how do we get those people replaced? We don't keep having these issues with somebody that wants to work with. What's the process for?
That's another excellent question, and being honest with you, as a member of Congress, I've got no authority to hire or fire them or to do that. What I can do, sir, is go to the head of the agency and say, please, and this is one of the problems across the federal government. I mean, we deal with federal agencies and people's claims every day. Now remember, it's we the people, right? It's not we the government. And these are people who should respond to your concerns and requests in the bureaucracy, and there are many men and women who do a good job in that I've dealt with many federal officials in other agencies. I'll step up to the VA, they help our veterans. I work with them, we get things done every day for people. But when you get somebody that's unresponsive, I can report that back. Can't get anybody fired, but the honest thing is, we need people. It's like the Sonny was saying, there was somebody in this position years ago that they could talk to. And this gentleman has told me for 2 years, they've been planting trees trying to work with these people. I mean, then for them to turn around and just say, well, it's our way or no way, that's just not right. So, we will make that inquiry, but, the way that this gentleman was talked to, I just think that's plain and simple wrong. As an elected official, I would never talk to this gentleman, okay? Because we don't know. Obviously, if you all look at my voting record and say, well, gee whiz, maybe I liked it 50%, 100%, or whatever, but I would hope that at least say, my man works for us and is respectful to us. The bureaucracies are unaccountable to people, and I'm gonna work hard to try to make it better for you.
I think what I'm asking is there, like a place you can make a complaint to, and like you.
Sure, you all could, but yes, you
Ever
can.
will like do something, like a, there, Attorney General, or who do we contact?
Contact the Forest Service and the like, but again, I'm not going to, they're not gonna come in and just say, unless there was something that they determined that was grievous. I think the gentleman, and then we'll go with him. Yes, yes, sir.
During hunting season, we requested enforcement. Put a sign up on the road, slow traffic, because we got dogs come out the road.
Okay,
And, if they wouldn't do it, we'd start.
get that on the list.
Actually, the Forest Service has a sign up here when you turn up the road. One of the big light up signs, set there for months, and you. I contacted the ranger, I said, hunting season's fixing to open, hunters gonna be on the Skyway. Can we put a message on that sign, you know, for people to watch out for dogs? But we actually had a hunter hit my vehicle up here in a pullover spot. Because, I mean, this is the prime tourism season. But just to make people aware, it'd be safer for the dogs, it'd be safer for the hunters, and safer for the people traveling the highway. The sheriff can answer this question. He even contacted the ranger and asked her about putting a message on that sign. She said, absolutely not. We're not in the business of signs, and you're not allowed to, and the previous ranger has always let the club put signs up on the side of the road going into the Cherokee National Forest. She said, absolutely not. I run this forest, and the DOT, if they cut a tree off the side of the road that fell out in the skyway, they have to cut it within the visual plane of the white line They will not allow them to cut it back here and throw it back out of the road, so just the stuff stuck out in the road. I mean, it's just stuff like that. She wouldn't work with nobody on nothing.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. This gentleman's been waiting to ask a question, and I will go over there. Yes, sir.
Well, y'all representative here from the Forest Service, said it's the same. The Forest Service is gonna make a plan for her board. Yeah, public, why are they meeting, public meeting?
Yes, sir, I agree. They should be here with me right now to face you all.
I agree.
Okay, look, the truth is the truth, and again, you just come in and you say, this is where we are, okay? I just happen to think that you all are right in this situation, okay? If I didn't, I'd tell you, but, I mean, think about this, as the gentleman said here, hunting season's gonna start October the 1st, okay? We don't have time to fool around, we gotta be right on top of this to try to save that, and that just means too much. So, sir?
Prime time, plain time, all we're looking for action. That's what we shut down.
Please get this on that list for this gentleman. I wanna get everything I can, because what I don't wanna do is piecemeal. Send them one and then say, well, gee whiz, I forgot this, here's that. Let's get them a list and let's lay this out. And then what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna demand a meeting with them, but I wanna make sure that we don't do this after the fact. Because again, I'm gonna look you all in the eye and say this, I don't know how this is gonna land. All I know is I'm gonna be with you in this fight. I'm gonna do everything I can. Everybody in this room as an elected official is with you all, I know that. But it's my job to get it done. Yes, there was a gentleman over here that was hand up.
One thing you'll hear a lot when you talking to the Forest Service, it's been funded, it's on the list for next year. Next year, it's been funded, it's on the list for the next year. You'll hear that a lot. Every time you call them about a certain project, it's been funded, it's on the list for next year.
Understood. Yes, sir. Ma'am, thank you.
When is their next stated meeting? And where?
They refused to tell me that information. When I went to the ranger station and asked questions about the employees and the vehicle, stuff like that, quick as there was a lady walked in and recognized me. She said, "Hey Barry, how you doing?" The guy at the ranger station turned around and he said, "So you're Barry?" I said, "That's correct." He said, "I can't answer no more questions for you." I said, "Well, that's not being very nice."
Can you find out?
Yes, ma'am.
When their next meeting is, and then everybody show up? Yeah. Put it on Facebook, put it out on flyers.
Well, and I'm a strong believer. I'm a strong believer, ma'am, in these public meetings. Why? Because if somebody's gonna come in, and we've done this over the years. For example, I represent 11 wonderful counties. We've got this big project for environmental cleanup to get a disposal cell built. There was a huge public comment period, and they had like 2 or 3 days, and citizens came out. And all those citizens agreed with me that we need to get this built and get it done for environmental cleanup, tearing up old buildings and getting them buried and stuff like that. I've been working on it for decades, we're gonna finally get it done, so we can clean up legacy waste up there. But the bottom line is, citizens got to come out and have their say. I don't think you deserve any less, ma'am. So, yeah, I'll find out. Are we talking about local public meetings? Is that what- Okay, we'll put that. So, Barry, if you'll give me that list, and I work 24/7, okay? I'm always on. People say, "Hey, let's walk." I can't afford to be off, because I don't know if something's gonna call that's gonna affect the safety of this nation, my district, or my constituents. So, get it to me, and we'll get that in a tight list. We'll get it to them right away. Yes, ma'am?
I have a question. Why is it that they just need to do things? Why aren't we notified? Why don't they put it in the newspaper, put it on the TV? Instead, a lot of people don't go to Facebook or on their phones, okay? So why, instead of making flyers, why don't we be notified through that? And I have another question. Why is it, like they said that, well, it's put on the docket and we're not showed where that docket is, where the money's going, somebody's gotta be responsible for that money.
Fair enough. The only honest answer I can give you is what I gave to the gentleman in the back before. Over time, and this is wrong, it's long before I got to Congress, over time, what Congress decided to do was give away, cede their authority, okay, to federal agencies. Whether that was the EPA, the Forest Service, God forbid, the IRS, whatever. They create these federal agencies. Some of these federal agencies even have their own court system. That's shocking. But, I mean, my point is that when you give up that authority, and the Supreme Court just recently ruled that Congress is gonna have to take back its authority. They beat the EPA, thank goodness. It was a good ruling. Got, I think, a 6-3 ruling on the Supreme Court. So it wasn't really even close. But basically, what I think we need to do as citizens is make sure that Congress gets that authority back. You can't give that away because you're giving up the people's sovereignty. Okay, I'm your direct representative. If it goes off to some federal bureaucracy that answers to the bureaucracy, okay, we'll never get accountability. So this is a symptom of a broken system. You need to fix the system. Good question. How about the gentleman in the back? Hi.
We've been told that the Forest Service got a federal grant to fix the little Citico road. And if they hold that grant long enough, they can use that funds for other projects. Is that true?
I don't know. Most of the time they did, I believe, I've gotten a lot of grants from all my 11 counties, okay? I don't know if they're allowed to change the use of that money. I will find out. I would hope not, and that'd be a first, but I will find out. But when we get them grant money, and I fight for grant money for all my counties, so I get stuff done. We've gotten a lot done from Monroe County. But that money, every time I fought for it, went for that particular project. We've done a lot over here, and I'm gonna continue to do more. But I will check on that. But I've not heard of them ever converting grant money to another project, but I will check. Sir, this is your meeting. Tell me what you need to do. You glad to take more questions? Where's Mr. Summey? Okay.
This gentleman, then if that's okay. This gentleman.
Yes, sir.
When you get a public meeting with the Forest Service, we'll keep them back down here so I'll have to check on them. When we request something, ask the book, whether it's ready to fit, the book stops with the man that you're talking to.
Okay. Yes, sir, you're absolutely right, but let me tell you this, I wish I could do more as a member of Congress. Over time, they've took that authority away, we've got to try to get some of that back. I do have some, but for example, when the gentleman over here said, hey, can you get anybody hired? I can't, okay? They won't let me do that. But you've got every right to hold me accountable. Again, I don't know how this thing is gonna end. I want it to end your all's way, all right? I'm with you on that, but, I mean, I'm a Tennessee ball fan. I want the Vols to win every game. But when they don't, I feel sad about it, but the next week I want them to win again. So, you've got every right to, as your member of Congress, to hold me accountable. That's why I came here today and flew in from DC, because I wanted to make sure I would face you all. Plus, this gentleman told me, he said, why'd you put it on the side? He said, sir, people gotta work. And he was right, they gotta work, so that's why I'm here. You want one more, sir, you kill me. Oh, yes, sir, he can get to ask the
Thank you,
question.
sir. I guess I can speak for everybody. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I was telling the sheriff here a minute ago, this has been a good meeting. I've been sitting standing here watching it, listening. And from a national level, of course, I'm a Republican and very proud of it, okay? We need, it's serious, we need more pushback. Yes. We need more pushback. And I love what I see today. And we, food for thought, everybody's got an idea. I'm not sure that we need to start having a quarterly meeting, just have to stay on top of this. You may have already thought of that, but have our lawmakers, a quarterly meeting, need to get on it and stand and demand that the Forest Service have representatives here and tell them to put their big boy britches on.
Chuck, please.
The southern border is open.
Oh gosh, it is, it's horrible.
It's a joke. We got people in Washington that are taking oath, as you did, to uphold the US Constitution.
Well, as this fine, yes, sir, as that fine gentleman stood up before and said, well, you know, I'm gonna hold you accountable. Hey, I'm telling y'all the truth. I am the ranking member on the Homeland Security Appropriations Subcommittee. So I'm the guy that funds the wall. I'm the guy responsible for border security. And you know what? We're losing that fight because this administration is deaf to us. There's gonna be over 2 million pour over, and guess what? They're sending them now to Martha's Vineyard. They're sending them to all those liberal jurisdictions, and guess what? They don't like it. You know, they want open borders, except when it comes to their neighborhood. You're absolutely right. We're gonna fight it, and guess what I did? I made Joe Biden sign Donald Trump's bill to fund the wall. You don't see that. There you go. Something ain't right in America and we need to fix it. And I'm gonna say this, thank you for your kind words. God bless everybody that's in here. I can't say I'm gonna get everyone right, but I'm sure gonna try for y'all, okay? And we're gonna work on this week. If we get roadblocks, excuse the pun, dealing with what we got, we'll just keep trying and keep coming back. But I love this county, I love the people, and the sheriff knows this, Mr. Sonny. Every elected official, this has never happened in Monroe County, went during the redistricting, which I had nothing to do with, to our great Speaker of the House, and Mark and Lloyl know me very well, and said, I want you all to please keep Congressman Fleishmann as my congressman. If you don't think that means a whole lot to me, I mean, I love all my counties, this was the only county that did that. So, thank you for that, and Lloyl, I know you have a big part, Mark did too. So, this one poor fella, I can't hear the guy that's involved in that.
Hey, I do appreciate being here. I appreciate you being here. On behalf. The gentleman talked about open borders, and I'll tell you how much power this Forest Service department's got. My family's got a 40-acre tract of land on 6 Mile Street. It's bought back in the 50s. That's a public road. You walk that road all the way through that 40 acres, come out on the old furnace road over there. No problem. The road, we could go through there. That land was not used. It was over there. It's 40 acres. We paid the county taxes on it. We're still paying county taxes on it. The Forest Service took it upon themselves. They closed that road over on the Wildcat. They tank trapped that sucker. No more interest into that. They go over to the forest, over to the other end of the access, they tank trap that. So now there's 40 acres there that we're paying taxes on that's landlocked. We get the southern borders, it's wide open. Thank you for being here and appreciate the comment. Thank you.
Go Vols.
Landlocked. Don't pay taxes.
Well, I tell you right now, the people of Tellico's gonna hold Chuck Fleishmann accountable. And Chuck Fleishmann is gonna hold the Forest Service accountable. Because Chuck Fleishmann wants to get re-elected. That's how it works here. Blaina, you still here? She step out. Does anybody else, Sheriff, anybody? Lloyl, any of you want to say a few words?
I think Congressman pretty much summed it up the best. We're here to support you, and today you are holding the federal government accountable. We appreciate that.
Thank you. We'd like to thank Chuck Fleishmann, Lloyl Russell, Mark Cochran, the Sheriff, and all of our county officials for coming to this meeting and supporting this cause. We need to get something set up, we'll schedule a meeting. If you've got any questions or concerns that you want sent to Mr. Fleishman's office, you need to get them to either me or our secretary. And, we will send the emails out to Mr. Fleishman's office concerning this issue, because we want to stay on top of it, and we ain't gonna give them a break. And if this is my personal opinion, I will write a letter to the Forest Service, the head of the Forest Service, because I want this ranger and this, recreation guy that won't work with us, I want them gone.
Amen.
Thank everybody for coming out today. Appreciate your support. If anything we can do to help you, just let us know.